Hello everyone, it's Diana. Welcome back to Witchcraft is Political. In fact, welcome back to season 2 of Witchcraft is Political. So I'm glad that you have chosen to join me again here in this space we have created together. And I think it's been a while since I did one of these YouTube readings, and that's partly because I have been very busy with my day job, and partly because I have been drained. I mean, the past few months, I believe, have been tough on everyone, given world events, which of course translate into personal life events. And of course, I'm talking about the pandemic, I'm talking about international politics, refugee situations, and just the kind of oppression we are structured to live in every day. You know, the usual capitalist, racist, patriarchal bullshit. So, yeah, I mean, I only wanted to do these readings, and I think I only can do these readings when I'm feeling a bit more grounded and a bit more centered, and I don't want them to become a chore to put them here for you on YouTube, which is why I thought it was perhaps best to take a break. But hopefully I will be posting a bit more regularly from now on. So I just want to thank you all for your patience, for waiting in all this time. Yeah. And I want to thank you also for all your love and support. It has really kept me going in these past months. All the nice messages you have sent me, all the faith you have put in me, also to people who actually approached me for readings, or booked a reading and donated. That was very helpful for me also, to not just get a sense of confidence in myself, but also hone my abilities, practice more, and as well as actually invest your contributions back into this little project I have going on, Witchcraft is Political. So, you know, with creating new art, so I started like a newsletter, which you can subscribe to. I'll put the link down below in the description box. And yeah, that was one major thing which happened in the past few months on a personal kind of front. And I also got new decks, new tarot decks, new oracle decks, so that I could use them on this channel, and also when you book a personal reading. So, hey. And yeah, I will be using them in today's reading. I'll be using them in the coming weeks, and I hope you like them. So I could finally get the original Rider-Waite tarot, the classic, with your contributions. Thank you so much. I did not learn tarot with the Rider-Waite tarot deck, but it's interesting to. Honestly, I find this deck a bit very archaic sometimes, but it's still interesting to kind of. It's rich in symbolism, and I try to not judge too quickly to dismiss, but try to, I don't agree with all the symbolism in this, because a lot of it is obviously very gendered, also very Christianized. But I think I like to see what I can learn and what I can take away from each deck which I use, even though it does not particularly feel like it does not check the right boxes always. But if I feel a pull to getting a particular deck, I get it. Even if it's, even if it's not, the most updated or the most, even if it's kind of like heteronormative and, white. But I think sometimes it's weird, and I think I just want to be honest with you about this. Sometimes the visuals will be all wrong on a deck, and I'm not really talking about the Rider-Waite tarot deck anymore. I'm not talking about this one anymore. I'm just talking generally. Sometimes the visuals on a particular deck, I think, can be really weird for me, like from a logical point of view, to it does not match my politics, or it does not really speak to who I am, like in this kind of identity politics way, let's say. But I get sometimes a pull or a feeling that I have to learn with a certain deck, or that deck is calling out to me, and I just kind of then find myself gravitating towards it, and I get it. Or I and the point, when in the way I use them, it's not so much about like just taking their message at face value, just doing the heteronormative, doing the patriarchal, doing the capitalist shit, but like kind of bringing a creative kind of interpretation. But also I think it's also the reason I might be drawn to these cards, now that I'm reflecting about it, is perhaps because I'm supposed to practice being less judgmental and like put myself out of my comfort zone, because it's not comfortable for me to use these decks. This one, which is an oracle deck I got in the past months, is one very stark example of one such deck. Because so I think it's called Romantic Angels Oracle cards, and it's quite problematic. The images on it are quite problematic, I think. Like it's very straight. It's very, and I mean that in the the patriarchal political sense of straightness. Like it's what's the word? It's heteronormative, right? I'm almost embarrassed to show you the imagery on it. And it speaks about like love and romance, all the cheesy things we are not supposed to, like, I don't know, care about. But hey, well, I'll show you, stuff like this, this white Renaissance weirdness which is happening here, which is kind of like glorified. I mean, the message is, I actually find the messages on this interesting, and I feel like at some level I do connect to this. Again, this image, for instance. I mean, just there's nothing per se wrong with it. It's just the historical and cultural significance of an image like that. Like it belongs to the privileged and the oppressors. If you know what I mean. I mean, look at this stylized Greco-Roman aesthetic kind of, um, I don't know, being taken up here. And I mean, that's problematic again because of its association with enlightenment and what enlightenment means in with European enlightenment, and what that period of history means today for the kind of knowledges which are valued and exalted, you know. So, yeah, quite. I mean, what I want to say here, not trying to give a deck review, maybe I should start doing that sometimes. But, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that it makes no logical sense for me to buy a deck like this, or really to invest in a deck like this with this imagery and this aesthetic. And also, I guess, like these creators. I mean, considering they obviously come from a certain kind of spirituality, right? Like a certain tradition of spirituality, which is not the kind of spirituality we follow here on this channel. But I believe in, I don't know, man, like it's hard to say. It's really hard to say why I was drawn to these, because there's not really a logical way I can speak to you, except that I was drawn to it. It was like this unspeakable, magical attraction. And I don't know, you can call it internalized heteronormativity, internalized patriarchy, internalized colonialism. And I have been judged on those counts many times. So, yeah, I mean, if that's what you feel, maybe this channel is not for you. Because I don't feel it's that. I believe it's more than that. And I've reflected and made myself feel guilty for a long, long time, for many decades, about being attracted to certain things. And I am not going to do that anymore, because I think that is very much part of, the self-oppression which operates in today's world, the dark magic or whatever. I mean, I hate that word, dark magic. I mean, like, let's say magic used for evil, magic used for binding others instead of expanding and freeing and, empowering people. So, yeah, I just want to tell you that the way I use these decks is more, I think I try to keep my judgmental side, my critical side minimum, and that's something I'm practicing right now, like in this phase of my life, because I think I have been quite a judgmental person in the past. I was very quick to jump to conclusions, and I feel like I missed out on a lot of life like that by kind of putting up my fences, because that's essentially what I feel I was doing when I was making judgments and blocking myself out. And I mean, any judgment about others, of course, began with a judgment about myself, right? Because you can't judge others until there is some part of you, which you are hiding from yourself. Some part of you are judging for yourself, whether consciously or unconsciously. So I don't want to get into a lot of detail on this. Maybe what needs to come through will come on when we shuffle the cards. But thanks for listening if you have come so far on that rant. What are we gonna do today? Yeah, the other thing we are gonna do today is I have not pre-shuffled the cards, and I want to not do that anymore because I feel I was enjoying it much more when I was shuffling on camera, and I think half the magic, or more than half of the magic of tarot or divination through cartomancy is actually watching the cards fall, is shuffling and watching the cards fall. So I want to put that experience on camera and not really like do it off camera. And what else? Yeah, and the question which we have for today is quite open-ended. It's been a while since I shuffled these cards for you, so I wanted to keep it a bit open-ended and just, take some time to reconnect back to you guys, or girls, or people who are watching this channel or will watch this channel in the future or the past. I don't know. Time is not linear. I feel like half my life is happening in dreams these days. It's a very chaotic time right now. Chaos. I mean, and I don't necessarily think in a bad way. I mean, last month if you had asked me at this time, I would have said in a bad way. But I think in the past month I have lived through it without judging or tried my best. Of course, like I've not been perfect and I get frustrated all the time. And just try to be, open-minded and just see what happens and where life goes. And here I am, and I feel like it's chaotic, but not in a super bad way anymore. But yeah, it's certainly a time of transition that's very, very apparent, I think. And it has been apparent for a while now. And it's very apparent that there are forces which are trying to, hold on to the past and like resisting this change, resisting what's happening on Earth, resisting what Mother Earth is bringing forth for us, trying to hold back onto old values and old systems like capitalism. I mean, not that like old, but I mean, in the history of humankind on Earth, capitalism is a fairly new way of living, and in those mere 500-600 years, it has already brought enough chaos. But yeah, we are looking at the end or at the tail end of the interglacial period on Earth, so it's quite, and that's like 15,000. I think it's a duration of 15,000 years. So 500 years of capitalism is a blip in that time period. And I think I want to say that just to kind of give us perspective and to not lose sense of where we come from and how long we have traveled on this earth, not to go back to somewhere, not to go back to some romanticized, back then when everything was perfect, because I don't think things were ever really perfect. And I think it's a disservice to the lives of people who lived before us to believe that things were perfect because people had tough lives before us as well. and they had their own struggles. So I don't know. Why am I talking about all this? Yeah, I guess I brought all this up to just kind of talk about, how there are people who are trying to resist the changes which the earth is bringing to us. Not just the earth, the skies, because of course the earth lives in a community, in an astral community. The earth is a spaceship, and we are its children. We are the children of a spaceship. And there are people who really want to hold on to the comfort of what they already know, even if what they know are oppressive systems. Not because those people are evil necessarily, but because they have never been taught to, and not just they, we have never been taught to, taught basic life skills, I guess, about how to talk to Earth and how to live with Earth's changes. What do we understand about our life on Earth? Maybe we have been taught that human is the best and human conquers everything, and humans have built so much for themselves, and we have to fight nature to keep us protected and stuff like that. And I think these all ideas belong to a particular set of values which is slowly crumbling, and it took like 1,000 years to, or more even, I would say, much even more than 1,000 years, maybe in 10,000 years, to prop up these values as the natural way of thinking, to prop up civilization as the natural way of thinking. And that almost sounds contradictory, like civilization and nature, right? But oh well. It took so long to prop these up, and now all these values are crumbling because the earth is changing, because the earth has traveled to a part of space where we haven't been before. And there are people who are still trying to hold on to these old values because they don't know how to surrender to the new. And I mean, they is also us, they is me, they is you. These people live in us. We need to learn a way, I guess, to move, to let go. I think this is what's been coming to me over and over in the past few months. This is not so much about resisting and fighting and trying to defend something. This is about letting what is crumbling crumble. And maybe it sounds naive, but maybe it even sounds insensitive because lives are at stake here. And I do not discount that. I think it's really, really important to let things crumble in an accountable way as well. So I'm not saying that it doesn't matter that lives are at stake. Of course, it matters more than ever that lives are at stake. But while holding on to systems which have systematically killed those lives in the past, killed other lives in the past, and normalized it, while holding on to those values, while holding on to those systems, lead us to actually thinking or living accountably. No, right? It will only give us an illusion of safety. And this is really important. Like, it gives us an illusion of safety. It's not actually safe. It's not actually safe. I am all for safety. And safety lies in taking a risk. Sounds paradoxical, but the truest things in the universe are, you know. I mean, unless we take a risk to build something new, unless we take the risk before even building something new to let the old crumble without trying to salvage something of it, we are not going to get to that safety. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts. With that background, let's see what do we need to know. What do we need to know today? Wow, too many cards. What do we need to know today as a collective? What do we need to know today as a collective? What do you need to know? What do I need to know? What can we learn together from our spirit guides, from unhuman forces, from the earth surrounding us, from the wisdom of our lands, from the specific environments we live in with our specific, precise struggles which cannot be generalized? What do we need to know? Something I like about tarot is that it's not general messaging, and I feel like people who read it like that, I don't know, like I just don't connect to general or abstract interpretations on tarot or any divination. I feel that it needs to be, the way I see tarot, it's all about timing and precision. I mean, I guess witchcraft is all about timing. Tarot is all about precision. But I mean, they're intertwined. It's not so different. Wow. So from the shuffling, the energy I'm getting from the collective is really that overwhelming. There's so much to say and there's nothing to say. There's so much to say and there's nothing to say. That's what coming so strong. It's like you want to speak up, I want to speak up, you want to speak up, but then words fail us. An internal fight. 5 of Wands. An internal fight. We are caught in an internal fight. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Mind and body in fight. Mind ridden with anxiety. Body tired and just wants to rest. Mind fueled by anxiety wants to work. This our internal fight. The heart wants big dreams, to follow the crazy path, to do that impossible thing. But the mind is scared about values, whether that crazy path will be valued, what will people say? And it's not so much about like what will people say, or they'll judge you or something, but it's more about what values did your home life specifically imbibe you with as a child. What values did you grow up with, for instance, about what kind of job is valuable, what kind of work in society is valuable, and how you can become a valuable member of society. And if your heart wants something totally different from that, it seems like, are you leaving the valuable thing to step into a less valuable thing? Not just in terms of prestige, but also in terms of who will value you. Will you be seen not in terms of fame necessarily, but in terms of community and love, in terms of being able to contribute to your community, or being able to contribute to the world, to society? What will people find valuable about you? So there is really this kind of conflict in the collective and within us as individuals, but also outside, right? Because of this bi-directional unity of the internal and external. So what happens internally is felt externally, and what happens externally is felt internally. So it moves both ways, right? And yeah, the conflict between emotions and logic, the conflict between spirit, desire, and practicalities. So I think at some level we are all experiencing this right now. And because of this experience, we are being drawn to the illusion that there is scarcity. And I say illusion because this is, after all, a queen, Queen of Pentacles. We are queens. We are abundant queens. What do I mean by that? We are people with resources. We have access to resources. We have access to infrastructures. We have access to networks. But it feels like it's not enough. It feels like whatever we have got is not enough. Whatever skills we have got is not enough. Whatever abilities we have is not enough. So it's quite a dilemma, but we have to remember, because it's a queen, it's an illusion and it's not true. And also there's a message here which I have not felt this way before, because I was wondering, why am I talking about value when this card is not really traditionally about value, but this is like an incoming message from spirit that it had something to do with value. And now I understand why the Queen of Pentacles is in reverse. It's because we think that we need something more. We think we need more resources. We think we need new technologies. We think we need new something, new X, new house, new relationship, new job, new furniture, new something, new place. But the path forward is not about what we are missing, but rather about what we are holding on to and not willing to let go. Oh, wow. So it's about the politics of refusal, because the path forward is a politics of refusal, of saying no to abusive relationships, saying no to, and by abusive, I simply mean uh, relationships where you don't feel, I hate that word, abusive. But more on that later. Let's not go on cancel abusive. I just wanted to say relationships where you don't feel seen, or relationships where you don't um, feel valued for everything you have to offer. Maybe feel valued only for some things you have to offer. Or maybe you feel valued for only things you have to offer, not for who you are. So um, that refusal of technology, you know, for instance, instead of creating new technology to save us from another crisis, how about we think about the crises which those technologies themselves are creating and refuse it? Refusal of given values, financial systems, values of valuing the world, refusal of given values of valuing the world. How the specific ways in which capitalism makes us value things through a numerical assignment to time, for instance. So it's a politics of refusal. We are being called on to both in the external and in the internal, both outside and within, um, rather than trying to get more. This is about what can you let go. So for the next week, fortnight, this is something we need to ask ourselves. What do we need to let go of? Because what are we willing to refuse? What are we willing to give up? Because that's kind of the path forward. The path forward is not rooted in the scarcity we are feeling, because what we need is not something else which is missing, but what we need is to let go of something which we already have. Oh man, did not see this coming, but because it's all the extra baggage of things we have and these toxic things we have, like it's not extra baggage of like good things we have. Like it's things which are past their due date because the earth is transforming and we need to transform with it. It's things and things, very stuff. So it's about tangible things, even when you don't see them, but you are still touching them, like the minerals in your smartphone screen. you know uh, and where does that come from? Exploited minor labor, exploited earth. So things we are willing to let go of, stuff we are willing to let go of. There's the bigger picture, yes, bigger global politics, but I also want you, I also need you, I also need to think about it on a personal level as well, because one doesn't happen without the other. The global doesn't happen without the personal, and the personal doesn't happen without the world. So think about what in your everyday life are you going to give up if you want to live in a different world, because it's not about accumulation. Okay, let's take out some cards for our piles today. Cards for our piles, our groups today. It's not about accumulation, even though that gives you the illusion of safety. That gives us the illusion of safety, having things. Uh, no, traveling the known paths. Not just the known path, but like the well-traveled path, uh, what everyone else is doing, how everyone else is living. Even though that gives this illusion of safety, the illusion of we are all in this together. And I'm not saying that's always an illusion, but it can be sometimes an illusion. Depends on the context, obviously. And the context I'm thinking about is, when at the beginning of the pandemic, all the celebrities were like, we are all in this together. Then, of course, we are not all in this together because you live in a mansion and I live in a one-room apartment, right? So, easy solidarities, no. We say a refusal of easy solidarities, which are not really solidarities. Anyway, blah 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 blah. Sorry, I just said that to clear my head and focus on the shuffling. Okay. Oh wow, no, that's 4. Let's take one out. Alright, so we have 3 cards here now, and if you would do me the kindness of now picking a card you like, and there will be individualized readings for each group in separate videos, and you can find the links to them down below. So to pick a card, I'd like you to tune into your body. If you're lying down somewhere or if you're sitting, try to move around, unlock your body, unroll your shoulders, feel your back arch, then feel your back relax. Take a deep breath, hold, exhale. As you sink into your intuition, you'll find the card you need to hear from, you'll find the group you'll need to hear from. You can pause the video here if you need more time to select the right card. And I will see you in your group readings, the links to which are down in the description box below. And if you have, if you are struggling with selecting a card or just sinking into your intuition, what you can do is create take 3 pieces of paper, write 1, 2, 3. So these are the cards, 1, 2, 3, and you can then just pick the card, shuffle the papers, great chits. shuffle them and then pick one and see which one it is. It's okay. It's hard, especially in this world, it's really hard to always be in touch with our intuition. So, you can, if you're having some problems sinking down into your intuition, in relaxing, just letting yourself go. Just then do this chit method, if you like. 1, 2, 3, and I'll see you at your pile.